Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday, and welcome to another episode of Speaking Plain English. I am your host, Roberta, and today, this topic today, am I slanted, y'all? Am I slanted? I think I might be a little slanted. Let me know if I'm a little slanted. But today is going to be a day of transparency. And I say that because I'm we'll just get into it. So the topic that we are going to discuss today is called pushing through. And yes, I know somebody might say, yeah, she has two different earrings on. I did that on purpose. I know. Leave me alone. So I am who I am and I do things like that. So y'all bear with me. But yes, today's topic is called pushing through. And the reason why we are going to discuss this today is mainly, honestly, and truly because this is for me. I need this. And I'm hoping that, and my prayer is that through this discussion, two things will happen. One, I'll be able to get through, and come out a little bit more and, press through a little bit more, as well as encourage you guys as well. I find that a lot of things that we go through, and that we deal with is not always for us. So I'm not going to get into very much detail, but we're pretty much just going to go into like the discussing like pushing through and what it means and how to do that. So if you guys have any suggestions or anything, feel free absolutely to chime in. And as always, I would love for you guys to like and subscribe and to share and all of this wonderful thing. Not just so that I can build my numbers. I mean, yes, of course, to build the numbers, but ultimately because you never know who it is that needs what it is that we are talking about. And I have to be honest. Um, I almost didn't do this today. I honestly was very close to not having an episode today. And that was for dual reasons, a few reasons actually. One, because the topic that I wanted to discuss, I wasn't able to get together. And I wasn't able to get the guests together that I wanted. Um, Actually, I had a couple of different, you know, ideas, and I wasn't able to really get what I needed for that. And then between that and time, there's a lot. There's a lot of things that I am doing. I'll put it like that. And I just really didn't have the time to um plan something else. I'll put it like that. So I really and honestly and truly wasn't going to have an episode today, but I want to say I woke up at like I was thinking about it up until last night. And I'm like, what in the world? Because what I kept saying and what I've been wanting to do is be more consistent with things, and because I'm being honest about me, I can be inconsistent when it comes to things dealing with me specifically. Um, I'll do what I need to for other people, but when it comes to me, what I'll be I'll be inconsistent. I'll be very inconsistent, and that comes with a lot of different things. So one thing that I have made a vow to do for this year is to complete everything that I started. Um, so what I haven't been successful with that in some areas, which eats me up every time because I'm like, man, I'm thinking to do it, but I'm so completely exhausted or whatever for whatever reason. So this I made a recently. I said I am not going to keep because for a few weeks, a couple of months ago, what I was doing is I was just replaying old episodes, and I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to, if I don't have a guest, because my intentions were to always have a guest, somebody that can discuss these things with me, because I really don't like to do these by myself, to be perfectly honest. I feel like I'm talking to myself, but I honestly think that it's much better to have conversations with people and dialogues with people. But if I don't have that, I still need to do what I need to, what I said I was going to do. I still need to commit and do what it is that I committed to do. And I don't take this platform what's the word? I don't take it lightly. One, because it's not something that I really wanted to do. I'll put it like that. It's not something that I would say that I would be an expert at or anything like that. But I honestly feel like people are, those who do watch are being blessed by it, and people are, um, needing some of the topics and enjoying, the conversation. So that's part of me pushing through today, because I really, honestly, and truly did not think that I was going to be up here this morning. I was almost like, I'm not even going to say anything. I'm like, I'm just going to just not. And it's so funny. I want to say I woke up at like 4 something this morning, and the idea of push through, because I was like, I can't just not do it. I made a commitment to myself, and I'm tired of breaking my commitments, so that, I felt like that was, I heard that was the topic for today. I push through, that could be your topic. And I wanted to discuss that mainly because it's you we like to have these motivational speeches, and we like to gravitate to, you know um all of these cliches and all of these wonderful, um you know affirmations and words of power and all of that. We love to do that when, we feel like it. But when it actually comes into practice, time to put it into practice, that's when you know whether or not, what you've been reading or what you've been listening to or what you've been saying has really been embedded in you. And I'm learning, that it takes like real life work, real life work to do things that you committed to do. And I'm gonna give let y'all in on something that, so I take therapy sessions, like counseling sessions. And one thing that my therapist has noticed about me, or I've actually, I guess I disclosed it to her, and she's, been witness to it, is that sometimes when I'm dealing with something, or I have a certain situation, or I have something in my mind, or on my mind or on my heart, um what I'll do is I'll push past it. And what I mean by that is I'll do something like, I won't address it. What I'll do is I will acknowledge it, that it's there, and then be like, okay, I'm done. It's there. Yep, I get it. And then just keep, because I feel like I have to keep moving. I have to keep pushing. I have to continue to do what I got to do. But what I'm finding out is that's escaping. You know what I mean? And that's an escape route, and it's not healthy. What she's been showing me how to do is how to take a moment. It's what she calls it is practicing mindfulness. And what that is where you kind of like take a minute to notice, like to check in with yourself, and ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? What is it that, how is my, like she says, check in with your body. Because when sometimes I'll ask myself, how am I feeling about right now? Or, you know, what do she'll ask me that in sessions. And we'll talk about different things. She'll ask me, like, where do you want to start? And I'll give her what's on my mind. And then she'll ask me, okay, how do you feel about that? And I'll sit there trying to figure it out. And I just can't. Sometimes it's like I honestly and truly can't figure out how I'm feeling. And that's not good. And that's part of the whole process of, well, that's part of understanding that we can be so used to escaping and running, and you know the whole idea of pushing past how you're feeling and getting things done. That's all well and good, but you cannot continue to do that. There are times where you have to, you're going to have to do that. Like, for example, if you're in the middle of, like, if you're in the middle of work, you know what I mean, and you get some really bad news or something comes to mind that kind of brings you back, you have to figure out a way to kind of like, okay, let me dismiss this for a minute and then get what I need to get done, taken care of. However, after that, it's not a good idea to keep forgetting. And I'm learning that, because what happens is things just keep coming and they'll, pile up and pile up and pile up and pile up. And next thing you know, you explode. I honestly and truly don't know what is going on. And I'm finding that I'm not the only one. I'm finding out that I'm not the only one, but this year has been tough mentally and emotionally. And it's like, and it's not, and I'm finding out where I'm, I don't say much about it because I'm like, I like to deal, I don't want to necessarily like dump my stuff on people. Um, so I'll just leave it and I'll be like, I'll try to figure, that's one of the reasons why I started doing counseling sessions. And one of the things that she said to me, which I thought was pretty cool, she said, you have to understand that this is absolutely, yes, it's work. What you're not going to do is, and what you're not here to do is to just dump everything on me and not leave with some kind of solution or something, And then I thought about that and I'm like, man, that's really and truly what we do when we go to therapy. We kind of like, and that's why I honestly feel like therapists need therapists. But what I'm learning is that it's important to take a moment, to check in with yourself and ask yourself questions like, how, especially when you're frazzled. Like lately I've been feeling myself, I'm not doing this. I've been feeling myself like there have been, I don't even know how to express it. Overwhelmed. I guess that's the word. Because I'm doing a lot. I'm doing a lot and I'm trying to figure out a lot. And there's a lot that's going on in between. And then there's words that are being, said that have triggered me in certain ways that I try not to let bother me. Um, but they kind of do. And then there's just so many different things that are going on, not just to me, with me, around me, but in here and in here. And it's hard, when you go so long not dealing with it. And on top of that, I honestly feel like with therapy sessions, starting and doing the work of it, what it actually is, I equate it to like when you're doing a deep cleaning. You know what I mean? When you're cleaning your house or you're cleaning your room, you're getting ready to move. Hmm. 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 Okay. That getting ready to move. And I'm gonna try not to get too emotional on here, but listen, if I do, I do. Y'all just so anyway, what I feel like is happening here is that I have, like, when you go to therapy, when you have a good therapist, I'll put it like that, because I've been to therapy sessions before and I've, seen where they really don't necessarily give, like, they weren't giving assignments or, different things. But this one here, I have to give them shout outs to Soul Discovery. Um that's the name of the group, I guess. But I did an assessment with them and then they matched me with somebody who they felt like would be, a great match for me. And I honestly and truly think that they chose well. So what my therapist does with me is she has me take a moment. And the thing is, she like what I was trying to say before is therapy sessions, when they're done right, they're very hard in the beginning. Like when you're starting, it's not just you're going to sit there and you're going to talk about what's wrong with you. That's not all there is. Because sometimes I feel like I'm going to discuss this and this and this and this, but we only get to one thing. And the reason for that is because we have to deal with that one thing. And not just dealing with that one thing, but dealing with that one thing. What it does is it helps to figure out how to deal with everything else. So yes, I get one, thing out of my system, and then she asks, okay, how did that make you feel? And then I'll give her the answer if I can. Sometimes I'm all right. Sometimes I'm a mess. Sometimes I don't know. And whatever the case may be, what we the whole point of it is to figure out how to whether or not that emotion, first of all, whatever it is that I'm feeling, it's valid, regardless of what it is and why it is. It's the fact that that's how I'm feeling. That's how I'm feeling. That's how I'm being affected, and the reason why doesn't matter, because the truth of the matter is whether or not the reason is valid, or the reason is valid or not. What is valid is that's how I'm feeling, and the question is what I'm feeling effective for me? Is that effective for me and my growth and me living the life that I am, looking to live? And if it's not, how do I deal with it? That's the ultimate goal of every session. And if that's the case, how do I deal with it? What do I do? How do I know, first of all, whether or not it's effective? How do I know, um, how, in a nutshell, the point is to be able to control how I handle. That's not the word I'm looking for. Not perceive, how I take in whatever is going on around me. Because at truth of the matter is I cannot control anything that goes on around me. I can't control, you know, who does what, who says what. I can't control any of that. But what I can control is how I feel, how my thought process about it, and how I deal with it and how I respond to it. So what that feels like when I'm learning how to do so, because it takes a minute. I have to actually, it's something that I have to start putting into practice, because it's not easy. It hasn't been easy, especially if I'm used to just running. Especially if I'm used to taking everything and just throwing it in the back burner. I'll get to it later, or I don't need to deal with that, or you know what I mean? So what it feels like, and this is what I've been trying to get to, is like when you're doing a deep cleaning or if you're getting ready to move, how you pull out everything. You pull everything out from the closets and the drawers and under the bed, and you pull out everything, and it's here now. Everything is right here compiled into one space, and you have to figure out what in the world. You have to go through every piece and figure out what to do with it. That's what the foundations of therapy is like. And I started in August. I started in August, and it's only November. So I'm still in the foundational stages, and I'm noticing that now that I have the knowledge of how to deal with things, I am responsible. I'm responsible of putting it into practice. And the reason why I need to put it into practice is because at the end of the day, it's going to help me with everything. And that's the hard part. The hard part is changing my method. The hard part is, you know, um, figuring out how to like continue doing what it is that I need to do, even though I feel a certain way. Like yesterday, like I've been noticing for like the past couple of weeks, I'll put it like that, the past few weeks, really, that I've been feeling really anxious, and I've been feeling like I'm being dragged, and I can't get my thoughts together, and um I'll have different things happening, good, and bad, but I can't organize my thoughts for the life of me. and I feel like I really, like, I'm exhausted. I'm so exhausted and so drained. And even though that's how I feel, I know that there's still things that have to get done. And I'm noticing that it's starting to affect my it's starting to affect me. I think it might even start to affect me physically. And the reason why I say that is because I've been achy. Like, I'll find when I actually get up, sometimes I'll find myself being achy, and I'm like, what is what is this? And I don't like that. I don't like that. I find myself tired a lot more often. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take that, because those are my assignments. My assignment is to take note to every so often, stop and take a minute and check in with myself and ask, like, what are you doing? How are you feeling? Why are you feeling this way? Not why, but what are you feeling? And is this how you want to stay? And if it's not, what do I do to keep myself out of there? Because at the end of the day, and we know we say this all the time, if we're no good to ourselves, if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't take care of anybody else. And that's all well and true and good. And it sounds great. And it sounds like, some people may feel like, I'll put it like this. I felt like taking care of me sometimes just means stuff like making sure that things don't affect me. You know what I mean? And that's not going to, it's not that simple. It's not that simple. I have to actually do the work of it. And it's hard. Again, learning and unlearning. Because at the end of the day, again, we're still talking about pushing through. At the end of the day, there's still things that I still need to get done. And although we may be feeling, and I want to talk to, I want to, kind of reach out to those, not reach out, but, yeah, I guess reach out in a way to those who may be having a hard time during this season. It's the holiday season. There's Thanksgiving coming, Christmas coming, New Year's. And there have been a lot of people who have had losses, and, the holidays are not good for them. The holidays are not happy times for them. Um, they've lost people, they've lost things, they've lost, in some cases themselves. And it's, it can be very tough for them, for, you know, and to be perfectly honest, I honestly think that this year, and this is just me going off of me, y'all know me, I think a lot, I analyze things a lot. But I think this year has been as different as it is and as heavy as it's been, because we're just coming out of confinement. Everybody's been cooped up for like 2 years, and now everything is all back and open, and we're trying to get back to normal. And it's like we can actually kind of feel, you know what I mean? The we it's we're finally feeling the pressure, or if that makes any sense. We're finally feeling um like we might actually be starting to get the opportunity to grieve, because before we didn't have the time, because it was just one after the next, one after the next, one after the next, one thing after the other, one thing. Now where things have kind of calmed down a bit, and now we're really starting to feel everything. Like, for example, when you work out, um sometimes you don't feel like, when you have that adrenaline rush, and you're feeling good, and you're actually getting the workout in. And even when you're pushing, even though it starts to, you start to feel the pain of it, during the workout, sometimes you don't really feel it until like the next day, where it's like, ooh, when you've taken the pressure off of your muscles. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, now that I can, I have like everything is back to its normal state, you can actually feel things now. And it's like, yo, we just went through a lot. Like, this is gone and that is gone, and I can't do this anymore. And this is, there's a lot. There's a lot that is different now, and a lot of different things that we have to figure out. So I'm really, really wondering if that's what's going on, because I'm finding out that it's not just me. Shout out to Sharice this morning. I just normally, on honestly, on truly, on I forget like what day it is and what time it is sometimes. And I woke up this morning and it was like 8:15, and I'm just like, okay. And then I realized, I'm like, I was just feel like, again, I was feeling such such heaviness, and trying to like even with yesterday. I mean, I don't know if some of you guys saw on my Instagram, I posted like a reel or whatever. Me and the kids, I took the kids to this place in Poughkeepsie, like a trampoline park, as a reward for because they both got um fairly good reports. And I say fairly good and because they both of them have improved for sure, which is what I've learned to celebrate, every win. So I'm like, you know what? Let me do something for them. Let me take them. I mean, I like to try to do things for them anyway, but like, let me take them. Let them, see the reward for actually putting hard work in. So we did our usual IHOP Friday IHOP, and so I told them, I said, since you guys have both had, improvements on your, in school, and some of, in some subjects, for the most part, both of them are doing very well. I'll put it like that. For the most part, they're both doing very well. There's just like one or two things that they just need to improve on, and they've actually improved from what we were discussing before, from what the teachers would have been discussing prior to the parent teacher conference. So the fact that they have started to make improvements, yes, there's in some areas they are in some areas, I'm sorry, I'm just seeing something. Some areas there may not be exactly, where I would like them to be just yet, but they've improved from where they were. And I'm celebrating that, and I'm celebrating them, because they deserve it. They've actually improved, and that's what I want. That's what I want to see. I want to see improvements. Um, and that's what I'm getting. So I'm like, let's go. You guys have earned this, you deserve this, you've done the work. So let's celebrate. So I took them to a trampoline park where I had a ball pit or whatever. And one thing that they asked me to do was, Mommy, can you come in with us? And I'm like, if they'll let me, yeah, sure. So that's what we did yesterday. But that honestly was that was hard for me. And it was hard for me because, again, I was still in the midst of that. I doubt if anybody would have known, but it took a lot of effort for me to even do anything, because I honestly just I wanted to just go lay down. I really just wanted to just go and lay down and just be in my feelings for a moment. And I'm trying not to do that. Yes, what I wanted to do is I wanted to take my minute to figure out, all right, do the work that the therapist taught me. What am I feeling? What do I do about do I first of all, what am I feeling? Do I want to stay this way? How do I, stop? So what I've been doing, what she does with me, is if I start to get overwhelmed, like, she'll ask me on a scale of 1 to 10, how what emotions are you first of all, what emotions are you feeling? And how, on a scale of 1 to 10, depending on what it is, like, if it's something, if she notices that physically, like if I'm crying or if I'm shaking, like, she'll ask me, like, how anxious are you? Or she'll have me acknowledge, first of all, what it is that I'm feeling. And then she'll ask me, on a scale of 1 to 10, how anxious are you? Or how sad are you, or how angry are you, or you know what I mean? And if it's at a high number, she's like, okay, so what do you think that we need to do? And I love that she does this, that she has me figure it out. She gave me the tools. Now I have to figure out, okay, now I've given you the tools. What is it that you need to do? How do we apply it? And sometimes it's breathing exercises that I need to kind of like chill. And sometimes it'll help, sometimes it won't. And in the times that it doesn't, it's like, all right, what I need to do for what's the next step from here? What's the next step from here? Like what, like for one time last week, I didn't see her last week, the week before. She gave me an assignment. She told me, she said, okay, seeing that the breathing exercises are not working or not effective, or there's two things that she mentioned. She said that they're not effective. They're either not effective or is it to me? She'll ask me. That's what it is. She'll ask me, is this effective for you? And because I'm not down to a 2, you know, from a like from an 8, I'm down to like a maybe if I'm not down to a 2, but maybe if I'm down to like a 6 or a 7 from an 8 after doing the breathing exercises, she'll say, okay, so what do you think, you know, is best to do next? And I'll say, I think we should try something else because it's not working. And then she'll say, okay, that's an option, but may I suggest to you, are you sure it's not working, or if it's just not working fast enough for you? And then I'll be like, man, because she says, think about it. You've gone, I mean, we can try something else, but that would be running again, as opposed to actually sitting and taking a moment to figure this out, to deal with this at this very moment before we can go on to the next. Which is why I say the foundation for therapy is so important. It's so important, and it's hard. It is so hard. And again, I think that's the reason why I've partially been feeling the way that I've been feeling. But in a nutshell, I still have to do what I have to do. And as hard as that may be at times, we have to allow ourselves, and even though we may feel like we don't have the time to think, we don't have the time to you know, to I don't have time to deal with my emotions. I've heard that. I've heard that and I felt that. And sometimes you don't, but at some point you have to make the time, because if you don't, you'll explode. And I, in all truth and honesty, was there yesterday, last night, even after the whole night was over, and I like was starting to feel myself get to a place where I was like, I'm about to have a nervous breakdown. I can't have a nervous breakdown right now. I can't. But I feel like I'm on the verge. And I honestly and truly felt that way yesterday. And what I did was I prayed. I said, God, I need you to I wrote down a prayer, actually, is what I did. I wrote down exactly what I felt like I needed, and I just wrote it down or typed it. It wasn't actually handwritten, but I typed it out. And I believe it helped because I didn't have a nervous breakdown. I was able to get to sleep, mainly because after all of that, I was exhausted. I was already exhausted. And when I get exhausted to the point where I can't get things done, that's when you know it's time to do something. Um, so the point of this is I want, and again, I'm this is more for me than it is for anybody else. I honestly don't really care too much about the views on this. I do, but I don't. And the reason why I say that is because, again, I hope that this is helping somebody else. Um, this will help somebody else know that you are abs. If you're feeling, you know, anxious, or if you're feeling like you're overwhelmed, or if you're feeling like there's a lot just happening, or your emotions are out of whack and you've got so many things going on that you don't know what to do next, and your organization is off and you can't get it together. You having can't get right syndrome. You know what I mean? It's not just you. It's not just you. And it's not easy to figure out what's going on. But the decision to do something about it is the easy part. I honestly and truly admonish those who are feeling this way. If you can't do counseling sessions, like if you can't figure, I honestly think that if you're feeling at this point where, you know, you're getting overwhelmed and you're tired all the time and it's starting to affect you, like your thought process is starting to affect your work, starting to affect school, starting to affect your relationships, it's starting to affect your body, it's time to talk to somebody. And if you can't, use these exercises, like take moments out of the day, take moments out of the day to just sit with yourself and just take an inventory of how you are feeling. Okay, so I don't know what StreamYard is doing, but hi, Facebook user. Hey, whoever you are, because I can't, it doesn't, I need you to tell me who you are because it says Facebook user and yeah. StreamYard, y'all tripping. Y'all really tripping. So I don't know what's going on. My name comes up as Facebook user for some other people too. Hi, Jalika. I don't know why it's calling you Facebook user. That's weird. I'm telling you, this is so cool that she just came up on here. Cause like when I told y'all that you're not by yourself and that how there have been others that have been feeling just as overwhelmed. I have a squad of ladies, wonderful, wonderful ladies, and Jalika is one of those. And we've all been really quiet. We've all been really quiet. And then one of us comes in and is like, y'all, we need to go. We need to get away. And honestly and truly, that's really how I have been feeling. Like I've been saying to myself, oh my Lord, God, I need to go away and just like leave. Like real talk. I remember a few years ago when I started to feel like super overwhelmed. I'll never forget this trip. I just said, I gotta go. I love you too. I love you so much. I just said, I gotta go. I have to get away. And what I did was I took a couple of days and I drove to Niagara Falls. I booked a room for myself and I took myself to Niagara Falls because I couldn't stay where I was, and it was becoming overwhelming. And me, those of you who know me, know what does it for me is water. Bodies of water specifically, like oceans and lakes and fountains even. So that was my getaway. But sometimes you can't, you can't actually take yourself anywhere. Sometimes you don't have the time or the resources to just pick up and go when you feel like you really, really need to. So what do you do in those moments? What do you do in those moments? And that's what my therapist was telling me. She was saying that sometimes you can't wait to, take the time off to go away. Sometimes you don't have the money to do it. Sometimes you don't have the time to do it. Sometimes you don't have the availability to do it for whatever reason, whether it's because you don't have a babysitter or because you don't have the money to do so, or you don't have the time off work, whatever the case may be. What you have at the end of the day, regardless of, sometimes, yes, your environment needs to change. But at the end of the day, once wherever you go, you're there. Wherever it is that you take yourself, you can't escape yourself. So, yes, sometimes changing the environment helps. Changing your surroundings helps. But at the end of the day, what are you going to do once you change? What is the expectation? Like when you get there, how are you just going to sit down, or are you going to relax? Because you still have to go back and deal with whatever it is that you have to deal with. So that's why she has given me the tools to kind of check in with myself and deal with it and learn how to handle, changing my perspective, or not changing how my perspective, but controlling how it affects me. Controlling how it affects me, because your body will tell you. I've learned what she'll say is she'll tell me, pay attention to what you're feeling, pay attention to your body, because it'll tell you. And so she'll ask me, she says, close your eyes, take deep breaths, and take notice of what you're feeling, starting from your head all the way down. So she'll ask, like, how does your head feel? Does it feel heavy? Do you have a headache? Do you feel like your mind is racing? How do you feel down to your, to your neck and your shoulders? Are your shoulders, because sometimes we'll be clenched and our shoulders will be like this and we won't even realize it. So we have to kind of like relax. Like, your whole body will tell you what you're feeling if you actually pay attention to it. What do me, I have this thing where I play with my fingers, or I'll cross my legs, or cross my ankles. My body will be tense. So when you take a minute and do that throughout the day, even if you have to like go to the bathroom and just check in with yourself, take a moment to assess how you're feeling. And while you're, as she says, giving your body what it needs, as in relaxation, that's your prayer time. God, you see what's going on with me. You see what I'm dealing with. You see what's happening. How do I handle this? So take those natural things and couple it with spiritual as well, and take that moment to pray and to meditate and to ask God, what do I do? How do I need you to fix this? Because there are certain things that we can't fix, that we can't handle. Help me to fix with what I can, and help me to give you what I can't, and know that what I can't is in your hands, and that you'll give me the know-how, and you'll give me the strategy, and you'll give me the grace, and you'll give me the strength to deal with it in the way that I need to. Because at the end of the day, there are definitely going to be things that we deal with that we have no control over. It's a matter of how we perceive it and how we receive it and how we respond to it. And that's what I'm learning. And at the end of the day, in the midst of all of it, we still have to keep moving. We still have to keep doing what it is that we need to do. We still have to get our assignments done. We have to understand, yes, we are human beings first, and we have to take care of us first, because if we don't take care of us, that has been my that has been my issue, that not understanding and realizing I have to take care of me, because if I don't get me together, I can't take care of my kids in any way, form, or fashion. And those of you who know, what I'm dealing with when it comes to them, y'all know really, really what I mean by that. So that's that can be one of the things that is really, really, really taking its toll. Because at the end of the day, I have a job to do. And not just the job that I need to do and I have to do, but that I want to do. Because I need to be okay. I need to be okay for myself first, and then for my two. And I can't do anything with them. I cannot be who they need me to be. I can't even begin to deal with what they're dealing with, because they're going through their own things too. kids have a lot to deal with these days. Like, they have a lot that they have to deal with, and they don't necessarily know how to. They don't always know how to cope, and that's where we come in as parents. We have to be able to take care of ourselves so that we can help them and lead them and guide them through what they're dealing with, because it's a lot for them. You know what I mean? They should we shouldn't we have to stop expecting them to be adults and to deal with things in adult like manners. Like, sometimes we feel like y'all should know how to do this, or y'all should y'all should know da da da. No, I don't know, because I've never been through this before, and I've never been taught how to deal with this, and it's confusing. So I'm learning that kids need grace, and they need to be taught, of course. I know, that's easier said than done, but do we actually get upset with them for not knowing how to deal with things? Something to think about. So that's it. I'm pretty much done, guys. Again, I don't even know if I said anything that may have helped somebody. Hopefully I did. Did it help me? Oh well. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not even gonna lie. What it did do is it reminded me of the fact that I have the tools to to handle what I need to handle. And the way to do that is to, again, as my therapist calls it, practicing mindfulness, which is taking a moment throughout the day to practice it. Because the more I practice it, the whole point of practicing anything, honestly, is so that once it's time for you to actually use it, you already got it, and you don't have to think too hard about it. It's already automatic. Like, when it comes to practicing a sport, or um, a speech, or an instrument, or a math problem, or whatever, when it comes to, and like they call, like doctors, they call, like, you practice medicine. You learn the tools, and you practice them so much to the point where, as soon as something comes up where you're going to have to put it into place, you automatically know exactly what to do, because it's become part of your routine. So that's where I am. I'm learning how to practice mindfulness, so that I know, as soon as things come up, because they will, because they have been, and they're it's I mean, life is, like, is full of, like, even that's even scripture. That's even scripture where it says that there's a man has, what is it, many days that are full of trouble, you know alone. So why hadn't, even just by being here alone, we've got a lot of stuff that we deal with. So the best thing to do is to practice, how to handle it, so that whenever it comes up again, or whenever something else comes up again, when people start peopling again, that's been my thing lately. I'm like, man, people are peopling again. So when that happens, I'll know how to deal with it, and I'll know how to not come out of character, and I'll know how to just expect some things. You just have to expect from some people, and I'm learning that too. Some things you have to look at their track record. You have to, and just be like, expect stupidity from stupid people. At the end of the day, you if you there's a story that I heard a long time ago about a man that I think they saw, like, there was some kind of a snake or something that was stuck somewhere or whatever, and he was nice enough to, let the snake, try to let him free. And then the snake bit him. And then the snake bit him and then, went on its way after he let him free. And then his thought process was, or he says to his, or I think in the story, he talked to the snake or something like that. He was like, man, I just helped you out. Like, why'd you bite me? And he goes, I'm a snake. That's what I do. So expect, like Maya Angelou says, when a person tells you who they are, they showed you who you are, believe them. We like to try to put people in categories or not believe that they, that they are not, that they are who they really are. And they're really showing you like, no, this is who I am. You can't be mad at me because I told you or I showed you that this is who I am and I do what I do and it bothers you, because you should have expected that from me because that's who I am. Told you that. So, boy, I tell you, lessons learned. So I'll say this: appreciate those who are real, appreciate those who are genuine, and expect nonsense from people who give nonsense. And I'm gonna leave it there. Again, this has been another episode of Speaking Plain English. Thank y'all for listening to me ramble. Until next time. Bye.